Hi golfers, Nick here for Nick Tally Golf. It's Friday, so welcome to another lesson on golf tips. This week in golf tips, we're going to help you golfers get better from wherever you are in the world. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the online golf teaching platform called Skillest. It's the #1 in the world for learning to improve your golf. I do many videos on there. I've mentioned it in the past, and I know a lot of you guys that watch the channel, you take your lessons via Skillest, and it's a really great platform. I've had some really good success over the past year or so using that platform. We're going to talk about some changes I've done with a particular student, how they improved their golf from a 19 to a 12 handicapper in less than a year. We're going to go through what changes we made and how the process works. I'm also going to share some do's and don'ts in terms of how you set up the camera. This is a vital part of you getting better and me analysing your swing in the right way. You need to make sure you set up the camera correctly. And then you stay tuned to the end. We're going to give you a code so you get a special offer for Thanksgiving. We're doing a Black Friday offer at Skillest where you can get 20% off, so stay tuned to the end. I'll give you the details for that. First up, golfers, I'm going to share with you students' progress. Now, like I mentioned, this golfer went from a 19 to a 12 handicap. So these videos were about a year apart. This particular golfer worked hard in the summer. He took a break in the winter, then restarted again in the summer. And you can see that from the left-hand side is the original golf swing as a 19 handicapper, and you can see that he was overturning in the backswing. And you do see this when you get to work on the stack and tilt golf swing, you have the straightening of the right leg, and sometimes some golfers will overextend that and overturn, and that just makes it hard to control. Now, in the golf swing, we first of all, with an iron, we need to try and make good contact, hit the ball far enough, and control the curve. And the more you turn, that's going to help you create more power, but it doesn't necessarily help you control the contact and the curve of the ball. With the driver, it's a little bit different. We're trying to swing that as far as we can, and you have a little bit more margin for error in terms of contact on the face and the fact that the ball's teed up. But for an iron, we need to be more controlled in the backswing. You can see the difference here between these two swings, from the first one on the left where he was overturning, and then the more recent one there on the right where we had his shoulder turn there around about 90 degrees. Then the next thing we worked on was kind of his width in the downswing. And you can see that in the original swing, he tended to cast the club. In the downswing, you could see that gap from his right leg to his hands, and you can see that that leads to the handle being back at impact. And this is probably one of the biggest things that I work on with golfers, is their ability to control contact, deliver a flat left wrist as you hit the golf ball. It's one of the most important things. You look at the best players in the world, they will deliver the handle forward and the weight forward. So that was one of the biggest things that we worked on in terms of his swing. Just trying to reduce that angle by bending the right wrist back, moving the hips forward into the downswing. This just led him into kind of a better impact position. And I'm going to share with you in a minute one of the drills that we worked on to help him improve this. But we just complete this swing here. You can see that his arms were a lot straighter as a result of keeping that handle more forward as he moved through into the finish. And now this golfer had his career low of 77 and has been cut to a 12 handicap. So huge improvement there from this particular golfer. As we could see there on the video, the first thing we worked on was trying to control the length of his backswing. So this particular golfer started to overextend, his trail leg straightening too much. Certainly in my backswing here, I have some straightening on my right leg, but by the time I get to the top, I'm actually starting to flex it again, and that does kind of control the turn a little bit better. This particular golfer was turning way too much. Right, his hip turn was probably 60 or 70 degrees, and his shoulder turn was over 100. The best players in the world, they turn their hips 45 degrees and their shoulders around 90 degrees with a standard 7-iron. So this particular golfer was overturning, and this led into a whole host of problems. It just makes it so much harder to control. Downswing, you saw his wider arc here, handle back, arms starting to flex as he went through, weight staying back. It's one of the biggest issues I see, golfers that kind of have the handle and the club coming down on a wider arc here, having the handle back at impact, moving the low point back, and then having to flex the arms to avoid hitting the ground. It just becomes so erratic, so inconsistent. The best players will have the handle forward as they hit the ball, move the weight forward, and keep the arm straight. They're able to keep the arm straight because their club is going to hit the ground in the correct spot. This particular golfer was avoiding the ground by bending his arms because his low point was too far back. So the next thing we worked on was his downswing here. So in the backswing, his right wrist in the original swing was casting out as he came back down. So we gave him the feeling of trying to bend this right hand back as he came down. So you can see here, slight bend in my right wrist, increases a little bit, increases more as I come down. So just doing that with a club helps me get my handle more over my leg. So we got that feeling. And for me, it feels like my wrists here are quite supple. I'm not trying to grip this, certainly not too hard. I need to try and bend this right wrist back more as I come down. And so we started off with plenty of practice swings. So we would try and get that feeling. And you can see here, I'm just stopping a bit shorter here. And this is a good way to really practice. So this is how we started, kind of trying to feel that right wrist bend back a little bit as he came down. And then as I go through here, we did some practice swings. Once you can get the feel of that, then you can start to hit some shots here. That helps me lean the shaft, helps me keep my arm straight. We worked on this over a period of time, and this particular golfer certainly always had this drill to go back to. We'd work on other parts as we went along, different clubs, but we'd always go back to this drill, and this would always be his way of warming up, and this is really key. Like sometimes with certain golfers, they have certain tendencies, just keep working on the same drill. Like this is something that for him, he probably still needs to keep working on. And even though you might get it right one day, you've got to still keep working at it. The tendency is always going to be to go back to what felt comfortable in the beginning. So that's how we started. That's how we started to build this swing up. And then from there, we started to just build up the speed. So the next step would be, once you can start to get the handle forward, keep the arm straight, move the weight forward, then we would start to just lengthen slightly as we go through and just gradually build up that way. There's no point going straight from that drill to a full swing. You've got to try and build this up. And this is something that you have to work on, you have to practice on. This is definitely not a 5-minute fix. This golfer took him around 12 months to make this change. We had a break in the middle, but he still worked on those drills over the winter, and that's a really important process there. I think it's important to note that sometimes it does take time, but if you stick at it, work on the right things, it can make a big difference. Next up, golf, is the setting up of the tripod. We're going to look at this in a little bit more detail, but just first of all, you can see I've got this tripod set up here. So it's roughly, the camera is roughly kind of middle of my chest here, okay? The height is quite important. We certainly don't want it too low and we don't want it too high. Roughly chest height would be about right, roughly around that area. It's quite important when you video your swing, you try and get similar kind of camera angles now. You can see on the screen here, I'm just going to press the record button here. So when you set up, it's important to try and get this as square as possible, as you can imagine. And I have the camera here in line with my hands, and this is very important. Not only the angle being square, but also the camera in line with the hands. So when I swing here, that's going to help me give me the right sort of angles I need on my swing plane. Okay, so camera in line with the hands. So this is the side view here. So we can see on the screen here, we're going to have a quick look at that video that I just hit there. So I've just gone into my normal video camera here. I don't use a particular app. I'm just doing this on my normal camera. And then from the screen here, you can see that that's in line with my hands, square to the target line. That's a pretty good viewpoint from the side view. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the front view now. So from the front view camera, same height. Now when I set up to the ball here, what we're going to try and make sure we do is have this right in the middle of the body. Okay, and this is hugely important and square to your target line. Sometimes I get videos sent to me and the angle's off or they're slightly skewed with the camera, and that makes a big difference, right? If we're trying to work on certain positions in the swing, we need to see the correct angles from the correct viewpoint. It makes a big difference for me when I analyze your swing, and it's important that for you guys get the right feedback. So making sure these angles are straight, chest height, and in line with the hands from the side view, and just in the middle of the body from the front view would be perfect. So it just gives you guys an idea there of how to kind of set up the camera. As an extra incentive, golfers, we're doing a promotion for Black Friday this weekend. So Black Friday is the code. I'll post the URL link in the description below and on the screen so you can see it. Via that code, you'll get 20% off lessons and practice plans. So if you're looking at doing some online coaching, now is a really good time to start doing that, because you get that promotion, and that's for every coach that's on the Skillest app, and it's something that There's a lot of coaches doing some great work on there. I find the Skillest app really rewarding. It's the fact that you can get someone to really improve their golf and they're like on the other side of the world. It's amazing. So definitely, if you're interested in some online coaching, this is the time to do it. This week, I'm off to California. I'm actually going to see Ayumi Hori. I don't know if many of you follow her on Instagram. Make sure you do. I know a lot of her students watch my channel, so I really appreciate that. I'm actually going to do a clinic with her next Friday. So there's no Friday tips for a couple of weeks, guys. I'm going to be out in California. I'll be doing a clinic with Ayumi. I'm going to the Stack and Tilt camp on the final day as well in San Diego. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. So I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks. So I will be posting some pictures and videos on my Instagram. So make sure, if you don't already follow me, check out my Instagram. Make sure you follow me on there, because I'll be posting some swings and playing some golf and getting some videos and maybe some of Ayumi as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks for watching, golfers. And yeah, check out the Skillest app. It's #1 coaching platform in golf. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.